What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel Anime Crossover. I'm back with a new episode of What If Naruto Was the Red Flash in DC Part 33. And if you did enjoy the video, consider a like. And if you're new to my channel and like my content, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more crossover fictions with a twist. Now let's begin this new video.
Chapter 7 Manhattan, New York City, Earth 17,654. In the center of Manhattan, a blue breach portal appeared, and Naruto sped along the street, dodging vehicles, taxis, and buses until coming to a stop in an alley. Naruto could tell he was in New York from a single glimpse, and a part of him questioned if his breach wasn't working, so he checked Gideon. Gideon, what on earth am I on? Earth 17,654, still far away from Earth 1, but this one I'm unfamiliar with, she replied when Naruto observed a billboard for the film Translucent, Invisible Force 2 on a wall. What the hell? Naruto said, staring at what appeared to be a phantom man clutching a gun. It was a movie poster for a film he had never heard of or for the business VOD. He emerged from the alleyway and rejoined normal traffic, where he spotted more movie posters with individuals dressed in superhero costumes. A Train, The Deep, Queen Maeve, Lamplighter, Black Noir, The Translucent Guy, and Homelander are some of the characters. He kept hearing the name Vought and eventually received his answer when he saw a commercial on an electronics store display TV. Imagine a world without crime. With liberty and justice for all. That's within our reach thanks to the 200-plus superheroes in the Vought family. We see a bright future ahead where there is a Vought hero in every town. New heroes are trained every day for your protection, including the jewel in Vought's crown. The greatest superhero team the world has ever seen, the Seven. Naruto had mixed feelings about what he saw in the commercial, which played out like a standard billion-dollar corporation ad video, but he did have one phrase to sum up his initial thoughts. What is the fuck? Naruto had a feeling he wouldn't like this world, and he was right. His curiosity, as well as his sense of foreboding, got the better of him, and he went to find something to eat while Gideon was doing her thing. He wanted to know everything he could, whether you call it his super brain evaluating and estimating that this planet was going to hell or the Speed Force feeling something horrible about to happen. Granted, he could always go, and this wasn't his Earth, so there was no reason for him to stay, but he's gotten involved on the Earths he's visited and contributed for the better, so why stop now? Besides, given how common and visible superheroes were, he had a hunch danger wasn't far away. He ultimately ended up in a park, where he passed one bench with a guy and a girl sitting on it until he located an empty bench. He bit into his hot dog before pulling out his phone to find Gideon accumulating a wealth of information on this realm. Superheroes, dubbed supes, were apparently more popular on the other planets he visited, and they all worked for the business Vought International. A firm licensing and controlling superheroes. As if that wasn't bad enough, Vought controlled all superheroes, no matter how big or tiny, and leased them out to communities to fight crime, but they were regarded more like celebrities than true superheroes. They had brand deals, starred in movies, video games, comic books, and TV series, and preened more than peacocks or show dogs. I've only been here an hour and I already despise this place, grumbled Naruto as he took another mouthful of his hot dog. At the very least, the food is good. Except for the existence of Vought International, almost everything on this planet was the same. It was the firm that controlled all of the country's supes and the most powerful corporate entity in the globe, easily more powerful and wealthy than some of the UN's smallest member countries. Vought owned over 200 supes and exercised control over them in the same way as an agent would over an actress or singer. And, from what he could see and read, the reason these superheroes were so adored and worshipped was because the majority of the world believed that they were chosen people of God who were endowed with supernatural abilities. In reality, Vought supported a Christian charity organization called Samaritan's Embrace to promote the faith and the concept that supers in the United States were chosen by God and hence the best. Yes, Naruto called BS on that. He didn't have anything against religion aside from how certain groups and cults utilized it to brainwash or intimidate people, but that was more about people. He had no problem with religious freedom or anyone's ability to believe what they wanted as long as it didn't cause harm to others. He just didn't think God had anything to do with superheroes. All the evil in the world and throughout human history did not convince him that God would intervene and grant mankind superpowers. Science or evolution gave these superheroes their superpowers. The question was why Vought was hiding the truth and feeding the entire God-selected bit to the people. He had two hypotheses. Theoretical one. God gave this world's superheroes their powers, and he appears to have favorites. It's quite doubtful, but he's seen stranger things, so it's not completely out of the question. Theory number 2. Naruto's intuition was correct, and there was a scientific reason for the soups, with Vought either guilty or concealing the facts from the public. It could also be both, but he knew where to look for answers, so perhaps it was time to engage in some business espionage. Naruto finished his hot dog and threw it away before strolling around the park, where he came across the same guy and girl on the bench. The male was munching a pretzel, but the girl appeared to be upset about something and was crying. "Excuse me, are you alright? Is this guy bothering you?" Naruto inquired as the other man turned to face the woman sitting next to him. No, it's alright. I'm fine, and he isn't," she reassured Naruto. "Are you sure? Don't be afraid to say anything if he's bothering you. Blink twice if you're feeling threatened by him, and I'll help," Naruto assured, and the man seemed concerned. No, it's fine. It's not him," she assured him. "I'm fine. I'm just having a bad day," she says. "Oh, I'm so sorry. I understand," the man responded, wiping his lips with a tissue. Is it a work thing or a life thing?" She said, "It's a work thing. It's a life thing," he explained. "Oh, I'm sorry guys. I guess everyone has those days," Naruto remarked before turning to face the man. "I'm sorry for threatening you. I wasn't sure what was going on." "It's fine," the guy said before looking at the female, who was staring at the two of them. "Do you know how you have this image of yourself? Like, I thought I was strong. You know? Like made of steel. A fighter. And then I was faced with this horrible situation with this asshole. I just heard my mom's voice in my head, keep smiling, the show must go on. And I didn't fight. And now I just feel sick. Partly because I did it, but mostly because turns out I'm not who I thought I was. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to just dump everything on you too." No, it's perfectly fine that you dumped," the man stated. "It's fine. Talking about it can sometimes make it a little easier," Naruto reassured her. "Do you like your job?" "It's the only thing I've ever desired," she said. "And it's a good job? Like, you're not selling kids smack?" inquired the man. "No, it's a great job. I could help a lot of people," she said as the person next to her pondered for a moment. I used to know this girl, and we used to go skating at Rockefeller, and she'd charge headfirst into the middle of the rink, and she wasn't good. Like, she fell a lot but she was never scared, and she always used to say, 'Just because you fall on your ass doesn't mean you have to stay there,'" he told her. "He's right," Naruto remarked, taking a seat on the bench's edge next to the girl. "A while ago, I had the same crisis of faith that you did. I had a huge loss of faith in someone I looked up to as a father. He helped raise me, and after my parents died, he's been there and was someone I thought I could count on no matter what. But it turns out, the person he was, well, let's just say he wasn't at all who I thought he was, and it made me question who I turned out to be." "And?" she inquired. "I'm still trying to figure it out, and I think a part of me will be working on it for a long time," Naruto replied. "But there is one thing I know now that I always keep in the back of my mind. Whether it was him molding my life the way it turned out or if it was me. I am who I am, I believe in what I believe, and I fight for what I fight for. So, what are you gonna do? Who are you?" She gave it some thinking before she began to smile. "I'm a fighter. I'm going to fight." "Yeah," Naruto and the guy agreed, as she appeared to be feeling much better. "I'm going to rip that son of a bitch's head off his body." "Wow, that was okay," he said. Naruto added, "Nice. A little scary, but nice. By the way, my name is Huey." Huey introduced himself. "Annie." She said it as well. "It's Naruto, and it's a pleasure to meet you both." Naruto shook their hands. "You know, I don't think it's true what they say about New Yorkers." "What's that?" Huey inquired. "That New Yorkers have an uncanny ability to turn a blind eye to anything that does not involve them," Naruto responded. "I was proven wrong because 3 total strangers had a pretty good conversation." "Well, I'm not from New York, so I'm not sure if that statement still holds true," Huey pointed out. "Neither do I," Annie added. Neither am I, and I retract my previous statement," Naruto said, drawing a few laughs. "In all honesty, I'm just passing through and resting in New York before I head home. I thought this trip would be boring, but this conversation was nice." "It was, and thank you for your advice, both of you," Annie remarked. "Don't bring it up," Huey said. Naruto stood up and cracked his neck, saying what he said. Well, Annie, Huey, I bid the two of you good day. Take care. And Annie, if the person you have an issue with is a guy, don't be afraid to go below the belt. It's always an easy win that way. Will do, Annie said as Naruto waved farewell to her and Huey before going out of the park. He took a leisurely stroll through the city until he came outside Vought International's corporate offices, which was a tall structure. They were eager to survey the entire metropolis. Note to self: make Star Labs Tower more aesthetically pleasing and less grandiose, Naruto thought to himself before pulling out his phone. Okay, Gideon, show me inside. She gave him plans for the building and floors, security arrangements for cameras and motion sensors, and security guard stations throughout the Vought building. He took a few seconds to go through everything and memorize it. Standard floor layout, motion sensor security system on each floor tied to a central working system on the ground floor in the security wing, motion sensor and laser tracking security cameras with a 360-degree field of vision including night vision, roving patrols with set guard positions at key points of entry. Naruto examined everything, which appeared to be secure save for one defect. You'd think that one of the most profitable and important companies in the world that employs superheroes would have better digital security. Oh, well. Live and learn, I guess. Gideon, if you wouldn't mind uploading a quantum key signal tone virus, please? Of course, one moment. Gideon began the upload by stealing one of Vought's less secure servers, which happened to be their cybersecurity division. Virus has been uploaded and keyed to the signature from your watch. Perfect. As long as I'm wearing it, the entire security system won't even register me. Naruto rushed up to the building and vibrated through the first floor's west side. He sped through the building's side and inside Vought International before sprinting to the server room. The huge area was filled with server banks, which served as Vought's digital heart and the foundation for all they accomplished. It was tightly fortified with cutting-edge cybersecurity, motion sensors, and cameras. Or so they believed. In actuality, Vought's security mechanisms were in desperate need of an update and improvement. Gideon didn't need to go to such lengths to fool their security system. He looked around the room at the security cameras and waved at them for fun. The security guards in the security room looked at the monitors and saw nothing but an empty server room since Gideon had complete control of their system and was forcing them to view what she and Naruto wanted them to see. The security cameras and motion sensors were difficult to fool, but the quantum key signal tone virus provided the solution. It not only controlled their system, but it was also linked directly to the signal in Naruto's smart watch, making him invisible to the cameras and sensors as long as he wore it. If someone saw him in person, it would be a different matter, but he was never present online. Now, Naruto pulled a cable from his rucksack and plugged it into the first server bank. Let us see what Vought has hidden. He watched as Gideon began combing through all of the information on Vought's servers, and despite the fact that there were millions, if not billions, of terabytes of data, she began to prioritize her search. Vought's servers contained items that they did not require. Marketing strategies, memoranda from hero development, emails, correspondence on media deals, new retail lines, hero placement, and potential worldwide expansion. All of those would be tremendously profitable if they were focused on right now. Gideon spent her time working on all of the files in legal, science, criminal analytics, and extensively encrypted files, as well as personal files for Vought's higher-ups. He didn't locate any concealed files on a secret formula, drug, or science division, so he couldn't uncover a digital trace on whether Vought developed superheroes, but if this was his company, he wouldn't have made it so clear. Something this essential would have to be done on paper, but that was no problem for him. So he proceeded to look for anything unusual, and he did come across several eyebrow-raising files. Vought's legal files were an interesting read since, like any other celebrity or politician, the superheroes appeared to be no strangers to controversy or lawsuits. Some of these heroes were undesirables. Apparently, 2 of the 7 had dozens of sexual harassment complaint claims filed against them that were either dropped or settled. The Deep and Translucent had the most ridiculous superhero name. Naruto whispered to himself before chuckling, translucent doesn't even mean invisible. Moron. There were files on other supes such as Doppelganger, Mesmer, a mind reader who was nabbed on an insider trading ring, Lamplighter, who supposedly accidentally murdered children in a house fire if the report was to be believed, and many more. Vought had to keep a careful eye on their supes in order to shield them from litigation or keep them in line. Most likely, both. He copied it because it was an intriguing read. Vought also stored files of interest on specific groups, primarily political and military figures. According to several of the documents he fast read, Vought's senior vice president of hero management, Madeline Stillwell, was pushing for superheroes to join the American Armed Services in the same way that a private military contractor would. It would have given them billions but was now being blocked. She and Vought CEO Stan Edgar were both people of interest, but it was a file on Samaritan's Embrace that piqued his interest. It was a Christian organization funded by Vought and led by Ezekiel, a Vought soup who was supposedly extremely stretchable. Naruto could tie him up in a knot in a blink of an eye, but that wasn't what made it intriguing. The encryption of the Samaritan's Embrace files was among the strongest on Vought servers, which was unusual. Companies regularly donated to charities, and it was no different on his planet. They did it for groups they founded or were affiliated with, and it was beneficial for tax breaks and public relations, but this kind of protection on a charity file implied they had something to conceal or defend. Surprisingly, it involved polio vaccine shipments to hospitals around the country via Samaritan's Embrace, as well as files of children for injection. That piqued his interest and had the potential to lead someplace, so he'd check out a neighboring hospital after completing his tour of the science department on floor 67. He let Gideon finish downloading files before speeding up the construction. Naruto came to a halt near the stairway and walked in at a normal pace, not wanting the wind he kicked up to alarm anyone close. He was walking down the halls, unconcerned about the cameras or motion sensors thanks to Gideon's infiltration, when he came across one of the clean room research labs. As experts in fully vacuum-sealed hazmat suits worked hard on various compounds in the lab, there was all the high-tech research equipment and chemicals that a billion-dollar firm could afford. Everything seemed to revolve around a blue liquid that they kept in a separate freezer with a special keycode lock. What was most striking was the lack of computers in the room, instead relying on handwritten reports handled by a stenographer and an entire wall dedicated to file cabinets. The chemistry tech in the room was excellent, but everything was examined and archived the old-fashioned way. Vought clearly did not want anyone hacking into their scientific files. And the plot thickens, Naruto muttered, contemplating how to tackle this scenario when he noticed a fire alarm on the wall. Rather than risking pulling it and having building security investigate, it might be preferable to let them go off naturally. He went down the stairs to the floor below, which was basically another corporate floor for Vought, and bought a candy bar from a vending machine. Fortunately, Twix is still available on this planet, which is fantastic. After finishing the candy, he took a napkin and nicked a cigarette from a man while he wasn't looking, wrapping it in the wrapper before channeling some lightning in between his fingers to start it lighting. He flung it at a picture that caught fire, along with part of the wall, after a quick look around the corridor to make sure no one was around. In 3.2.1. Now. And, as expected, the entire building's fire alarm went off. People on the other floors were taken aback and assumed it was a drill, but the people on Naruto's floor spotted the fire and rushed down the stairs as soon as they could. The fire department was on their way because it was a real fire that had been caused by the fire alarms. He smiled, thinking his scheme was going to work, only to hear a door crack and Homelander emerge in the middle of the hallway, putting out the fire with his freezing breath. Ah, shit. Naruto hurried away before Homelander could look around and was not observed. Homelander looked around because he thought he heard someone but saw no one. Naruto emerged out the building, joining the rest of the civilian traffic and Vought employees who were perplexed as to what had happened. He walked a short distance to the pizza establishment next door when the fire department arrived and met with Homelander out front, who stated that he had put out the fire and discovered a cigarette at the scene. The fire department wanted to inspect the building to see if there was any more damage, but Homelander X-rayed it and discovered nothing incorrect. Madeline Stillwell then walked over to thank the fire department for their assistance, but they weren't required, and everyone quickly returned inside. A little wrinkle, but Naruto tossed up a vial of the blue liquid and caught it with a smirk. The ideal diversion. Homelander looked around as Naruto sped away, hearing a strange flutter of wind like someone moving at super speed. All of the Vought employees returned to the building, and the security officers were reviewing the camera footage to discover the employee who had accidentally started the fire, but that's when things got strange. "Check it again," ordered the security supervisor to the guy at the monitor desk. "Sir, I've checked the system, camera, and footage 10 times, and the story remains the same. There's nothing there," the guard responded. Well, clearly there was someone there because a lit cigarette doesn't just magically appear in a hallway and set a painting on fire, the supervisor grumbled. Perhaps it was translucent, and he forgot to put out his cigarette butt? I checked the motion sensors, and they didn't detect any movement near the area, and Translucent was meeting with his marketing team on another floor, the guard explained. Maybe it was the A train? No, it wasn't, Homelander said as they approached the security room. The supervisor and all of the guards shot straight up. The supervisor weirdly saluted Homelander, which Homelander found humorous. As he went in, Homelander grinned and said, "At ease, men. It wasn't a train because he's still dealing with legal issues and the cameras would have picked up a blur. It also wasn't translucent because I'm not aware of another invisible superhero in the building. Please play the video footage." Homelander watched as the guard nodded and rewound the tape on the floor. He noticed a hallway, and a few staffers and minor supes passed through, but that was about it. It eventually revealed that the corridor was vacant, with no one walking by the security camera and no movement detected by the motion sensor. A few minutes passed with no one, not even a shadow, coming into view of the camera. The cigarette then materialized and was hurled at the picture, catching fire. "We checked the system, cameras, and all the sensors all at once, and there was no sign of anyone," the guard explained. "That cigarette was thrown by someone. Run a full system diagnostic, and have security do a floor-by-floor check of the entire building, along with everyone's credentials, no exceptions," Homelander ordered the security supervisor. "Yes, sir." Homelander walked out of the security room and X-rayed the entire building for anything out of the norm, but he didn't detect a bomb or package left behind, and no one appeared to be concerned about anything being taken. Homelander headed upstairs to Madeline Stillwell's office, where she was working on some reports. "Yes, Homelander," she replied, "and how can I assist you?" "I believe someone broke into the building and purposefully set fire to it," Homelander said. "Excuse me? Homelander, I thought it was just an accident. A lit cigarette that wasn't properly extinguished caught a generic painting on fire. No serious damage was done, but I'll have HR look into it and find the person responsible," she promised him. "There was no one there. I checked the security footage and no one passed by at the time, and even the motion sensors didn't pick up anything. It's as if the cigarette was thrown at the painting by someone who wasn't there or our security systems couldn't see it," Homelander responded. "It wasn't translucent or a train," she said. "I'll contact building security and have all department heads double-check everything their departments are working on, but let's keep this quiet for now. As far as anyone else is concerned, it was just a simple fire." "And what if it wasn't?" Homelander inquired. "Then you and the Seven will handle it as usual," she said, thinking that whoever broke into VOT International had to be the smartest, most ruthless person ever. XXXXX line break Mandarin Oriental Hotel in Manhattan, New York City. Naruto went to locate a place to stay in the city after his brief break-in at VOT, stealing the blue vial and obtaining something to eat, and stopped at the Mandarin Oriental Hotel by Central Park. Money wasn't an issue, and it would be good to relax in luxury after journeying through the multiverse. He ordered room service, took a long shower, and then wrapped himself in a very beautiful and cozy bathrobe while watching TV on the couch. He sat with his feet up on a cushion, a large box of pizza in front of him, and a bottle of scotch next to him. He may have appeared to be a cliché, but he was a comfortable cliché. He used the TV remote to change channels and was fortunate to locate a channel showing movies and series he recognized from his previous life. Along with The Godfather, Law & Order and The Simpsons seemed to be a multiverse standard, which he was grateful for. The VOT TV things and all their channels were as interesting and engaging as a kids' TV network, which made sense considering that it was most likely a large portion of their market. "Thank God for The Godfather and Al Pacino," Naruto said as he cut into a slice of pizza while waiting for the commercial to conclude for The Godfather to resume playing. "Naruto, my breakdown of the chemical is complete," Gideon said as Naruto came over to the desk in the room where he had his phone and watch hooked to a laptop and some scientific equipment he took from a city lab and modified. He and Gideon were analyzing the vial of blue liquid to figure out what it was. If his intuition was correct, it held the key to the world's superheroes. If he was mistaken, he had squandered a lot of time and effort. Naruto sat at his desk, looking over the results with interest. "Interesting. A steroidal-like alchemical human enhancement serum. An actual serum for creating superheroes. I was right." "You were, Naruto," Gideon responded, pulling up the chemical breakdown and study of the serum and its effects as Naruto examined the few hardcopy files he managed to take when grabbing the vial. It wasn't much, but it was something, and it gave the serum a name. It would appear that compound V interacts with the 23rd chromosome of human DNA and puts it into a hyperactive state. causing it to develop a series of mutations that can result in enhanced physical abilities, thus mutating a normal human into a superpowered person. God has chosen my ass, Naruto observed. So, the compound V can give someone superpowers. Yes, but the process does not have a guaranteed success rate. Based on my analysis of the formula and the simulations of Run, there is a 25% chance that the serum's effects actually initialize and stabilize a reaction in a human body to gift an individual with powers, and even less that the powers given will be powerful or anything worthwhile. The other 75% means that the serum was ineffective. So, not everyone can be gifted superpowers, which makes sense, and maybe Vaught's watching over who is given powers to better control the abilities and heroes they get, like a selection process. Naruto came to a halt when he remembered the file on Samaritan's Embrace and its shipment of polio vaccines across the country for children. Does the serum's effectiveness increase as the subject gets younger, Gideon? In the simulations of Run, the chance of a successful mutation occurring in a younger subject is increased to 60% because, due to the development process and biological defenses the human body gains over years of growth, an adolescent or prepubescent subject's genetic structure is not yet fully developed and easier to accept mutations than a fully grown adult, Gideon responded. What exactly are you thinking, Naruto? That it's odd for a huge company like Vought to be so protective of a charity sending out polio vaccines unless they had something to hide. Something like vials of compound V and dossiers on potential superheroes. Naruto was beginning to suspect that Vought did more than just manage superheroes. Alright. Looks like I've got a plan for tomorrow. Head to a hospital that deals with Samaritan's Embrace and see how far the rabbit hole goes. Nice work, Gideon. Take the night off. If you mean power down and cycle an update, then I'd be happy to. Good night, Naruto, Gideon remarked before shutting down. Naruto returned to his seat on the couch. He understood more about Vought in the world, but he had a hunch he'd learn more the next day. It was time to do some more excavating, but tonight was a chance to unwind and recuperate before more crazy occurred, and he did deserve it. He leaned into the couch and started eating his pizza, oblivious to the fact that the guy he met at the park, Huey, had a bad incident with Translucent and was now forced assisting a man named Billy Butcher. They didn't realize it at the time, but their paths would meet again. The following day, Naruto stood on the sidewalk with other pedestrians, watching the police and fire department conduct an investigation at the demolished Bryman's electronics business. Based on the damage, it appeared that a car had smashed through the business, which is possible given the tire tracks. Naruto wasn't sure what was going on, but he noticed blood marks on the ground in the wall but no body. I feel bad for whoever owned that store. If only Homelander was here, one of the onlookers commented. Naruto murmured to himself as he walked away, yeah, sure. He grabbed a cappuccino from a neighboring coffee shop and a dozen various pastries before sprinting down an alley and through the city to the hospital in Queens where Samaritan's Embrace had recently sent a cargo of polio vaccines, only to discover that it wasn't vaccines. As he raced through the city, he noticed 4 criminals robbing a jewelry store and zipped in, knocked them down, and tied them up before making an anonymous call to the police. After that, he intervened to prevent a carjacker from stealing a high-end pricey car in a parking lot and made another anonymous call before arriving at the hospital. He pulled his goggles from his rucksack and scanned the hospital with the backscatter capability. From the ground floor up, everything appeared normal. In hospital rooms, doctors operating on patients, and nurses going about their business when he observed a swarm of cameras on the ICU level. He checked the hospital's surveillance cameras and data logs with his watch. A train, reportedly the fastest man alive, was apparently on a press tour promoting the hospital. Naruto thought to himself, fastest man alive, my ass. The scientists logged a train's fastest speed at roughly Mach 1 from the files he downloaded at Vought, and he's been doing this for years. Naruto defeated it within a few months of gaining his powers. Something warned him there was a power disparity between his Earth and this one, but that's a story for another time. He continued his hunt by inspecting the basement and discovering a sub-basement level. Gideon, what's going on down in the sub-basement? The hospital records show it as storage, Gideon said, but what he saw down there was not storage. Yeah, storage, mumbled Naruto before zooming down to the sub-basement. He just phased down the elevator shaft and the door because there were no steps and it was locked by a special elevator that required a keycode and card to get through. It's as simple as pie. And what he saw was a clean room research lab, similar to the one in Vought. I'm not aware of many storage rooms that require top-tier private security for a door. Gideon, security cameras on a loop? Of course. Naruto told her, "You're the best." "You're repeating yourself, but thank you," Gideon answered. Her wit and personality were endearing. He did an excellent job of constructing her. Naruto continued down the sub-basement path, which resembled one of the hallways at Star Laboratories. It was clean, antiseptic, had more cameras, and did not appear to be a storage sub-basement. There were no storage rooms or signs of storage as he moved into the sub-basement until he came to a door. He entered what appeared to be a maternity unit for babies in any typical hospital. There were small incubators for the babies, which were connected to EKGs and equipment to monitor their vitals, but there was only one baby present. He approached and noticed that instead of a standard IV drip, it was filled with a blue liquid. He felt a smidgen of fear in his gut when he saw the IV lines traced from the bag down to the infant in the incubator. They're doing experiments on babies. What the fuck? Naruto couldn't disguise his disgust and terror at Vaught's actions. He was a scientist who understood the importance of experimentation, but there was a boundary that could not be passed, and using babies as guinea pigs was one of them. Vought may look to be kind, but there were certainly bad apples in that tree. Something like this couldn't be tolerated, and he wasn't sure what he would do, but he knew Vought had to be stopped or at the very least exposed. He took several recordings before collecting a vial and syringe off the counter and removing some of the compound V from the IV bag to run an analysis on later to check if any changes had occurred. "Alright. Let's get out of here." As he spoke, the door was opened, and two guys in suits and a doctor entered. The men in suits were Vaught's on-site security guards, and they were notified when one of the sensors in the IV drip warned them that excess fluid had been emptied, so they came in to check on the infant. Only now did they notice Naruto standing there with the vial of compound V from the IV bag. Hi, Naruto waved, only for the security guards to draw their pistols and point them at him. They made a poor decision. Naruto stepped up to the first guard and kicked out one of his legs, kneed him in the groin, and then elbowed him in the head. The doctor was thrown into the wall, while the other guard was put out by a super-fast electrical surge to the head. In real time, the two guards and doctor were knocked out by a whoosh of air, and not a single shot was fired. Bad move on their part. Naruto pulled their bodies out of the room onto the hallway and disassembled their weapons before swiftly exiting the sub-basement and landing in the hospital's record storage. It was the chamber in the hospital's south wing where old hard copies of files were maintained. Because most files were maintained digitally and backed up to servers, these file cabinets were caked with dust and hadn't been used in years, but they might come in handy. Naruto quickly read through each one and discovered different patterns of polio vaccine shipments from Samaritans embraced to this hospital over the years, implying multiple baby subjects, and he even discovered redacted data on children who later became superheroes dating back 50 years. What kind of monsters are there at Vought that would do something like this? Naruto wondered, punching the filing cabinet in frustration. Better yet, is it all this, and was it rotten from the beginning? This wasn't a new type of arrangement for Vought. They'd been doing it for a while, so the question was what else they had planned. Back to Vought. Madeline Stillwell sat in her workplace, watching the news while pumping breast milk at her desk. Vought Television Network, a television channel owned by Vought, was showing a breaking story regarding the Baltimore mayor's recent plane disaster. The Deep was conducting an interview and reporting on the incident. There were no survivors and no flight recorder at the time, but the cause was engine failure, which was largely correct. As Homelander entered, she turned off the television. "Still going strong, huh?" he inquired. "Oh yeah, I've been pumping for 30 minutes and I've got a quarter of an ounce," Stillwell said as she held up a bottle and walked over to the fridge. "Come on, take it easy on yourself. Personally, I think it's amazing a woman your age can have a baby at all," Homelander said. "That is very kind of you to say." "Oh, no problem. Hey, have you found translucent yet?" Homelander inquired. Homelander nodded as she questioned, "You heard about that?" "No, not just yet." "Well, you know I could look for him myself." Stillwell reassured Homelander, "That's not necessary." "Hey, did you hear about the mayor of Baltimore?" There was a little pause as Homelander glanced at her. Yeah. I heard his plane went down. Some sort of engine trouble. It's terrible. I saw him on Tuesday, and I had a meeting with him right here." "Wow. Well, hug your kids tight because you never know what's going to happen," Homelander said. "That's true, but here's what's interesting. The Deep told me and only me that there were scorch marks on the mayor's engine, almost like from two small high-intensity beams roughly the width of human eyes," Stillwell remarked. "Say exactly what you mean to say. Your brand is hope." Baseball. America. Sunshine. You don't do vengeance, Stillwell said, sounding more like a public relations representative. Homelander reminded her, Madeline, I heard him. Through the wall, he was blackmailing you. I am the very last person you need to save. Yeah, but I did it for you. I know, she said, but did the timing occur to you? I have half of the Senate Appropriations Committee coming tonight. As he sat down on the couch, Homelander's attractive grin and calm, stoic demeanor began to waver. He believed he did well, but now he's being informed he made a mistake. How did he even know about Compound V? Do you think it had anything to do with the fire that happened yesterday? We're not going to talk about it, and there's no evidence of a link or even a break-in. Everyone has reported that nothing was taken, nothing was stolen, no one is missing, and our IT teams have told me that no files were copied, she informed him. Come on, Madeline, you don't have to hide things from me. I love Vought just as much as you do, and I can do more, Homelander said. You've already done more. You've earned more than $12 billion for us. Right, so the pricks on 82 can take all the fucking credit. Empty fucking suits with Cornell degrees? Homelander remarked to her. I know and I hear you, I do, Madeline said, but what I need right now is for you to charm the shit out of those congressmen. Homelander scoffed. Right, because that's all I'm good for, smiling, looking pretty, saying my lines. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Madeline approached and sat down next to him. No, you just need to let me protect you. Gods are perfect and pure, and they need to stay that way. She palmed his cheek, and it was getting strange and sort of creepy if anyone else was in the room or listening, which technically someone was. With Naruto. Naruto sat on a park seat, eating chicken and rice from a halal cart while listening to Vought's Madeline Stillwell's chat with Homelander. Homelander, according to Naruto's analysis of the Vought data files, was a hybrid of Superman and Captain America. Naruto wasn't sure how powerful he was, but he was certain he was faster. Homelander was able to fly faster than an F-16 fighter jet and faster than a train, according to Vought's records, but there were no clear records or incidences of him being faster than that. Homelander was the most powerful and dangerous soup in this planet, and Naruto would have to approach him with caution. Naruto's escape and theft at Vought shown that he was faster than Homelander could respond, since he was able to flee without him knowing, but he wasn't confident. He wasn't going to make any assumptions and play things safe. At this point, his greatest strengths were his anonymity and superhuman speed. Gideon's breach into Vought's system and subsequent control went unreported, even after their IT staff thoroughly examined their systems. She was simply that good, and they were simply that horrible. She was watching everything in Vought and had transformed their TVs, computers, and phones into listening devices that she was recording at all times. It was important to acquire proof, such as Madeline Stillwell's scheme and Homelander's murder of the Baltimore mayor, but he didn't need to hear all of their strange flirtation. Okay, that's enough of that, Naruto said as he trembled and tossed his food into the garage. He lost his appetite, wanted a shower, and had to get his ears cleaned thoroughly to get rid of that horrible flirtation. His biggest problem right now was deciding what to do with what he had discovered. Vought was virtually invincible on this planet, with mountains of lawyers, high-ranking allies, and enough money to legally bury any issue that arose. Superheroes who would criminally bury anyone who came out against them, as well as bosses who would protect the corporation no matter what the cost or the cost-benefit analysis. He was a dimension traveler from another part of the multiverse who ended himself here by accident to try to get home. His word carried little weight, and even if he uploaded all the incriminating information he had on Vought, he wasn't convinced it would be enough to deter them. Naruto reinserted his headphones and triggered Gideon. Gideon, do you have any suggestions for taking down Vought? You've probably predicted that just exposing all of Vought's secrets and nefarious activities on your word won't be enough or have the desired effect you might anticipate. Vought would fight all of your attempts to stop them, and the word of a man who wasn't even born on this earth will carry little weight, and I doubt you'd want to face off against all of Vought's superheroes by yourself, Gideon theorized. Yeah, if at all possible, I'd like to avoid going to war with over 200 superheroes, Naruto stated. I recommend taking a wait-and-see approach. Vought and its superheroes must have enemies in the government or political circles who could be potential allies in stopping Vought, and the likelihood of you obtaining more evidence against them increases with a bit of patience. Taking on a company like Vought will take some time, so time is what you take. If that doesn't seem feasible, you can just leave. He could go and try to return home. Or he could stay and try to assist. What is your choice? Should you go home or stay and try to stop Vought? That was a difficult decision since he could attempt again to get home, but his instinct told him that the so-called soups of this earth and Vought were going to cause more harm than good and needed to be stopped. Sure, it wasn't his concern, but turning a blind eye and walking away from a problem when he knew he could help didn't sit well with him, and it wasn't in his nature to do so. This wasn't his planet, but he was glad to help. I believe you already know my choice, Gideon. You know me well enough, Naruto said with a smile. I do, and I've taken the liberty of looking into people who might be able to help you take down Vought. I do, and I've taken the liberty of looking into people who might be able to help you take down Vought. Upon a deep dive of this Earth's computer and internet, I do believe we might be able to find someone who can help, but it would require you to take a trip. Trip to where? Pondered Naruto. Langley, Virginia, Gideon said. I believe infiltrating the CIA might give us some of the intel we need. The CIA? You want me to super speed into the CIA and have you hack them? Naruto questioned aloud, just to see how insane it sounded. Gideon said, it does sound crazy when you put it like that. The CIA? Mumbled Naruto before taking a big breath and cracking his neck. Okay, you only live once, so it'll cross something off my bucket list. Granted, it was more of a visit to Langley and the CIA headquarters than a break-in, but semantics. XXXXX line break Upper New York. Naruto came at the end of the driveway of a very modest yet magnificent and wealthy property in upstate New York's Adirondack Mountains. He had to confess, after seeing the place twice, that it was really lovely. The sound of birds chirping and the rustle of tree leaves, with clear skies and forests for kilometers around. When Naruto was ready to retire, this location was at the top of his list. He walked up the gravel path, past a lovely stone water fountain statue and a flagpole with an American flag draped up. He approached the house, which appeared to be from Architectural Digest. It was clean, modern, and most likely expensive. Granted, the window walls were not Naruto's style because he preferred his privacy, but they were amazing. He walked around the house and noticed a woman in the backyard. She was dressed comfortably for the outdoors and stood at the edge of her property, looking out at the mountains and forests through binoculars. Naruto approached her gently, taking care not to scare her, although he assumed she was aware of his presence. If you're coming to kill me, just do it, the woman said. I didn't expect Vought to send one of their own superheroes to kill me. You must be very skilled or they don't care about you. I just came to talk, and I'm not with Vought. Nothing I can say will probably make you believe me, but if Vought even knew who I was, which I'm guessing they don't at the moment, Naruto observed, I'm not here to hurt you or cause trouble, I just want to talk. The only topics I'm interested in are birds, and I'm currently watching some eastern meadowlarks, she said, and Naruto took a few steps closer to be near her but not too close. He kept a good distance as he gazed out at the magnificent mountain range and woodland. I'm not a bird person, to be honest. I'm more of a lover of the Canidae family of animals, so dog-like carnivorans. I never had a dog growing up, but I do have a pet fox. Naruto chuckled as he remembered Kurama. My best friend and the cutest little guy with the fluffiest tail, but I think there are some finches flying nearby, or the American robin is always nice. A little commonplace, but you know your birds, she said before putting down her binoculars to gaze at Naruto. Tall, gorgeous, spiky blonde hair, ordinary clothes, and a pack, but he exuded serenity and tenderness. Be careful here. Some birds might mistake your hair for a place to build a new nest. Naruto chuckled before caressing his spiked hair. That's a good one, and not one I've heard before, but I'm keeping my hair. You probably guessed that I'm not here just to talk birds or look at lovely homes, but if you happen to have a number for your realtor, I'll take it. Ask whatever you want to ask. I figured you'd want to ask me questions rather than the other way around, she explained. I would, but I figured you'd be more open to talking if you could ask questions first. Naruto pointed out, and she was mildly impressed that he knew all that while maintaining her usual stoic demeanor. However, I thought I'd introduce myself. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, at your service. Pleasure to meet you, Ms. Mallory, or would you prefer Grace? Grace, she said, laying her binoculars down and taking a more prepared position with her body language. I'm sorry if my knowing your name surprises you or puts you on edge, but I figured it'd be easier if we both knew each other so I didn't have to refer to you as Miss or Lady. No offense meant, and like I said before, I'm not here to hurt you, Naruto promised. Grace thought, how do you know my name? That's kind of related to why I came to see you. We can start our conversation there unless you want to start asking any other questions, in which case, by all means, go ahead, Naruto motioned. You're not really with Vought, are you? But you're not just a normal millennial who happened upon this place. What are you? Military? Intelligence? Grace inquired, but Naruto shook his head no at her options. Are you some kind of soup? I prefer the term metahuman because it's more accurate to what I am, but you can use superhero if you want. And I'm not a soup like the ones Vought has produced because I don't work for them. In fact, that couldn't be further from the truth because I'm not even from this planet and no, I'm not an alien. Excuse me? Grace questioned as Naruto motioned her over to some chairs she had set up in the backyard for the two of them to sit, and she nodded. Well, if you have any physicist friends, you could tell them there is living proof of the multiverse and I'm it. I'm not sure how much you know, but the basic idea is that there are an infinite number of Earths out there that exist in separate planes of existence. Separate home dimensions that can be extremely similar or very different. Certain people could never be born, certain people could never die, etc., etc. Grace gazed at them, intrigued, as they showed Naruto and a group of other people. Some showed him in his suit, some at Star Labs, and one showed him hanging out with Linda near the Central City Observatory. Grace was more amenable to the notion because she had never heard of Central City. You really expect me to believe that? You could be lying. True, I could, and you're probably experienced enough to pick up on that. Certain tells in my voice or body language would give away if I'm lying, which I'm not, or I could be crazy enough to believe that I'm telling the truth, but then again, if I really was a soup, you could use your resources to find out who I am, but you won't because, again, I don't exist here. Believe me, I checked. This chair really needs a butt pad or something. I'll take it into consideration, she said. Okay, how about some more proof? How about I show you something that I know you know no one on this planet is even close to creating or has? Artificial intelligence. Naruto clicked a button on his watch, activating Gideon's holographic interface. Introduce yourself, Gideon. Hello, my name is Gideon, an interactive artificial consciousness created by Naruto. It's a pleasure to meet you, Ms. Mallory, and please accept my condolences. Do you expect me to believe this? She could be on the other end of a phone line, Mallory said as her phone rang and she saw Gideon's face appear on her smartphone. This is no trick. Breaking through the encryption on your personal phone would have taken the world's best hackers days to complete, whereas I have already uploaded myself. But if you require more proof, the lights and alarms in Grace's house began to turn on and off at random. Okay, Gideon, enough with the haunted house test, Naruto said, and she came to a halt as he disabled her hologram. Sorry about her, but she's real. I checked your Earth's history and what you have working now, and no one is even close to holographic technology or an intelligence system that did what she just did. Compared to my Earth, this one is kind of lacking technology-wise, which is kind of a constant I've found. Naruto told her, and the small display was enough to shake Mallory out of her stupor. Okay. Assuming everything you just said is true, which is a big if. Why did you come to me? What do you want? Better yet, how did you find me? Did I exist on your Earth? Grace asked, still unsure if what Naruto said was true, but willing to go along with his metaphor to figure out what he wanted. You, personally, I have no idea, Naruto replied, but someone like you who used to keep tabs on soups. Probably. I'm not the only superhero on my planet. There are bad ones, too, but we call them metahumans, and that's why I came to find you. Your previous work against Vought and its superheroes. At least the bad ones. Grace was curious at first, but quickly lost interest as she took a big breath to settle herself down. My advice is to give up and walk away. Trust me, this vengeance path leads nowhere. That's not what this is about. If you believe I'm from another planet, you're probably wondering why I'd care about Vought or whatever else is going on this planet that isn't mine, and you're right. I shouldn't care, but I do, and it's not out of vengeance or hatred, but because when I see a problem, I'm not someone who walks away. I think the reason you started going after superheroes is because you saw the mention of Compound V in the assassination of Baltimore's mayor for attempting extortion. Grace Mallory's normal stoicism gave way to real surprise when Naruto revealed that he had obtained an audio tape of Madeline Stillwell and Homelander murdering someone. Naruto retrieved a little vial of blue liquid from his backpack. This is Compound V, straight from Vought. Grace took the vial and examined it. What is it? Some kind of drug that Vought is producing. I guess you could look at it that way. A kind of pharmaceutical compound, but instead of curing the common cold or aiding in cancer research, it's produced every single one of Vought's superheroes for mass production, Naruto replied, garnering Grace another surprised look. He showed her the video and everything he traced via Samaritan's embrace from the underground lab beneath the hospital, including the compound V being injected into a newborn. It's a steroidal human enhancement serum that creates superheroes. The message that Vought has been pushing about their heroes being chosen by God is nonsense. They're created in a lab and monitored like lab rats until they either develop powers or the serum fails and they try their luck with another person. Where did you get all of this? Grace wondered, convinced that Vought was doomed. I hacked into Vought's servers and downloaded most of it except for the things on Compound V. There's no digital trail on that, it's all hard copy. It took me a while to figure out the connection between Compound V and Samaritan's Embrace, but I'm thinking they use the charity to smuggle Compound V into hospitals as polio vaccines where they can inject kids or babies with it. Picking and choosing the heroes they want. That's why I came to you. Even if I expose everything, it won't mean much coming from me, and I'm not insane enough to try and take on all of Vought on my own. As a former deputy director of the CIA, I figured you might know some people who might be able to help. Naruto slid his phone back into his pocket and stepped up, but not before placing a thumb drive on the chair. That has a copy of the data I copied from Vought, as well as my number. I'm asking for your assistance, but I won't assume it will be you. I heard about what happened to your grandchildren, and I'm so sorry. Whether you pass this on to someone else, or if it is you, give me a call. Naruto smiled and nodded one final time before walking away. Where are you going now? Grace said, causing Naruto to pause for a moment. I'm going to follow the advice of someone I trust and adopt a wait-and-see strategy to see what Vought does, but that doesn't mean I'm going to sit around and do nothing. I think it's time I show New York what a true superhero is supposed to be. Only this one doesn't need the media attention like they do. Naruto smirked before Super sped away. Mallory glanced at the leaves and wind he kicked up while fleeing and realized he was a speedster, but not like a train or the new one, Shockwave, who also generated electricity. She then stared at the thumb drive, unsure what to do, but she had an idea who she could give it to. But she needed to double-check a few things first. After a few hours, New York City docks on the East Coast, it was midnight, which meant most people were at home, but New York City was an exception. It was the city that never slept, and the criminal element often found that the optimum time to do what they needed to do was at night. It was a bit of a cliché, but it was still true. According to the criminal analytics team at Vought, there was a shipment of drugs being transported into the city, and taking it out was the current assignment for 2 members of the 7. The Deep and Starlight were the 2 members of the 7. The Deep and Starlight were waiting on a Hedel Marine Service vessel docked near the expected narcotics drop-off point. Oh, wow. What a surprise. A water crime. Fuck me, running. I swear to God they only call me when there's trouble at a dock. Or a river or a lake. Canal. A jetty. Fucking idiots. I could be doing so much more. But no, Vought just wants me to make my big pretty dives into the water and flash my fucking biceps for Instagram. I mean, 4 million hits a day. He turned to face Starlight, who had remained silent. What's your problem? You've had that pissy look on your face all night. The lights around the ship began to flicker, indicating Starlight's current state of mind. Oh, what's this about? Is this about the other night again? The lights flickered, and the Deep simply chuckled. Jesus Christ, cry me a river, okay. I took my share of shit when I first got here, okay, and you had a crush on me, remember? That gives you no right, zero right, you pathetic asshole, Starlight informed him. The Deep cautioned her, you shut your fucking mouth. Or are you going to slap a grouper on me? I'm going to Homelander and telling everyone you're a psycho. No, you won't. See, I asked around. You're not number 2 around here. You're just the fish guy. Everyone thinks you're a joke, including me. I can't believe I fell for your crap, Starlight said. You stuck up little. You ever touch me again? Starlight warned him as her eyes glowed and the lights around them faded. Do you understand what I'm saying? When they saw a van approach at the warehouse, the Deep was terrified but played it off as best he could. We'll finish this later. You take them from the front, and I'll come in from behind. The Deep dove off the ship into the ocean, while Starlight took a deep breath and entered the warehouse. The drug traffickers were smuggling Vought dolls with packs of pills hidden inside, which would make them a lot of money. When their flashlights began to dim, 2 of the smugglers checked the stuff. Hey! They turned to see Starlight, who blinded them and knocked them back with a light blast. 2 of the smugglers dashed to the side exit, forced it open, and fled. As the Deep was intended to stop them, Starlight moaned and pursued them. She dashed outside the warehouse, where she found the 2 smugglers bound to a light pole. Hey! She said, looking up to find the Deep tied up and dangling from the side of the warehouse, his face painted in sad clown makeup and a blow-up dolphin fastened to his side. He also had a sign on his chest that said, "They call me the Deep, but I'm shallow. Get me down from here." Ashley Barrett, their talent relations representative, came over with the film crews who were collecting footage of the Deep in an awkward position, and Starlight had to suppress her chuckle. "Hey, cut the cameras, all of you," she said, pushing the cameras away and glaring at the other photographer. "So, if this goes on the air or online, you're dead, you hear me? Turn it off." Ashley was about to dial her boss's number when a gust of wind passed through Starlight and she felt something in her fingers. It was a folded-up paper that said, "Nice job with the fighting." She was perplexed as to who had left her this note and how it had arrived out of nowhere in her hand. Did a train come to their aid? But the answer was no. Naruto stood at a distance aboard the same freighter as Starlight in the Deep. He knew Annie as Starlight and was delighted to assist her in bringing the Deep down a notch. It was all in good fun, but the night wasn't done since he needed to do some serious superhero work. XXXXX line break. Naruto was having lunch in a diner in Brooklyn after a successful night and a long day of heroic labor. True to his words to Mallory, he took a wait-and-see approach with Vought. He allowed Gideon to continue hacking and gathering important information from Vought servers and emails while he raced across the city, and even the country, performing heroic actions. Saving victims of vehicle accidents, drug busts, robberies, and murder attempts, among other things. All of this was accomplished without the customary Vought flair for drama or need for notoriety. His unexplained saves drew some media attention, however, as many people were interested about who the mysterious super was who appeared to be so swift he could vanish in the blink of an eye. Many assumed it was the new runner Shockwave because the only still shots they had from security cameras showed a yellow and red, but the blur was incorrect and he didn't generate electricity. Perhaps Vought had a new soup, and the internet was quick to speculate on who this person was and what powers they possessed. Naruto sat at a booth in the diner, having finished his third turkey triple-decker club, 3 pastrami sandwiches, 6 plates of French fries, 4 drinks, and a healthy Cobb salad. Granted, he needed to eat a lot more to maintain his metabolism, so the dinner he ate at the hotel and the bagels he stopped for before arriving at the cafe were ideal appetizers. His waiter came by, still surprised that he ate so much food. "More coffee?" she inquired. "Yeah, that'd be fantastic," Naruto said as she refilled his coffee cup. "That was delicious, thank you." "I'm more surprised you ate all of that food. I didn't think you'd eat it all," the waitress said. "Well, I was on a diet before running a marathon, so this was kind of my cheat day," Naruto explained. "That was a huge cheat day," she admitted. "It was only a delicious cheat day, which I will pay for in full with a very nice tip," Naruto vowed as she took some of his dishes and placed the check on the table. Naruto took out some cash from his wallet and returned to the kitchen with the soiled plates. Naruto paid with $275 because the lunch cost a little more than $150. He was sipping his coffee and enjoying the peace and quiet when his phone rang and he received a call from a blocked number. "Hello? You're a very difficult person to track down, Naruto," Grace said. "I take it you tried to track my phone and couldn't triangulate the GPS. Don't feel too bad, it's a pretty tough encryption, but if you were curious about me, you've probably already looked into the heroics I've gotten involved in over the last 36 hours, Naruto said. A soup moving so fast that apparently no clear image could be found on security cameras. Just a very fuzzy blur and flicker of electricity. You're definitely not like any other soup I've met before. Most, if not all, would stop for a photo op, Grace admitted. I'm a one-of-a-kind guy with super speed who wants to help people for the right reasons, Naruto replied. How did you like the gift of all that Vought information? Wasn't it an interesting read? I'm putting you in touch with someone who might be able to help. I know her well, and if you really want to help, this could be a mutually beneficial relationship. Be at Riverside Park in 1 hour. Find a bench near the waterfront and we'll find you, Grace said before hanging up. Oh, clandestine spy meeting, just like Jack Ryan. Cool. Naruto murmured as he stood up and walked out of the diner. As he strolled into Riverside Park, Naruto stopped to get some water and a pretzel from a street seller. You'd think after all that food he'd be full, but you'd be incorrect. It was a pleasant walk, and it was less congested than Central Park, which was an added plus. He eventually found an open park bench and sat down, taking in the scenery and munching on his pretzel. Some joggers passed by, followed by a woman with a leashed dog, a homeless man sifting among trash, and a couple and wife with a stroller. After approximately 20 minutes, a woman in a power suit approached and sat next him. "You took too long. I was about to leave," Naruto said as the woman removed her sunglasses. "Is there a code phrase you want me to say to you because Grace didn't give me one?" "This isn't a spy movie, and there's no code phrase," she stated emphatically. "You can relax, I'm not here to hurt anyone," Naruto said as he bit into another pretzel. "Well, in my line of work, when someone with your abilities comes into information like the one you gave Grace, let's just say it makes us very nervous," she explained. "Makes sense. And I figured with Grace being CIA, she probably looked into me. Likely checked her sources, I'm guessing you, and ran facial recognition and even lifted my prints to check my identity only to find that there is no match," Naruto explained. "I would know, I double-checked when I first arrived." Susan added, "Which makes us even more cautious." "I get that. It's also probably why you had me sit here by myself to see how I would react while you and your men got into position." Naruto dropped his napkin into a garbage can before taking a sip of water and looking about at the people in the park. The three joggers wearing sweatshirts in 80-degree weather, most likely to conceal their guns. The woman with a dog on a leash, most likely sniffing for any kind of trap bombs. One of your agents dressed as a homeless man, which is offensive and messed up, and then the husband and wife with the not baby in the stroller. Did I get it right? Grace was correct. You are one of a kind, she conceded. You can keep them if you want, it's no skin of my bones, Naruto said, holding out his hand. Naruto. She gave him a brief glance before shaking his hand. You know, Susan Raynor, a part of me thinks I should have you arrested for knowing classified information that no civilian should know. That's a fair point, but as Grace probably told you and as I told her, I'm not even from this earth, so does it count? Naruto pointed out. Why? Susan questioned. You have all this information, so why not go public and stop Vought? Based on your heroics, you're skilled and probably faster than every member of the Seven, so why did you go to Grace? Because this isn't something I can do on my own, and I'm smart enough to realize that. Naruto stated, and she agreed. True, I could upload everything I have on the internet and expose Vought, but then what? They could claim it was all hacked or fake, and no one would believe a word from the mouth of a guy who doesn't even exist on this earth. Or they'd come out in full force and attack me with their entire list of soups, causing a lot of damage and chaos, which I'd like to avoid. You're definitely smarter than the soups, Susan pointed out. Naruto responded, super genius, actually. Why did you go to Grace? What did you hope to get out of meeting her? Susan inquired. Other than getting another great view of the Adirondacks? Naruto laughed before turning serious. I put out some feelers for a potential list of people who have a thing against Vought. It led me to an article about a fire that killed Grace's grandchildren. A fire so intense that not even bones were left behind. It had to be one of Vought's soups. I looked into her and found out she worked for the CIA, which made me wonder why Vought would go after her, which is when I found an old hardcopy file in the archives. How? Naruto explained, I wasn't always like this, you know. I was a normal person. I had a normal childhood with no Vought or Compound V on my planet at all, until my last year of college when I was in a car accident with my parents. And I was the only one to walk away. Susan replied, that couldn't have been easy, and Naruto agreed. It wasn't. I was in a bad place for a long time, but I eventually found my footing. Then I got my powers. A particle accelerator explosion-infused lightning bolt and a coma later gave me my powers, and I've been using them as a hero should. Protecting people, keeping my home safe, and without the whole excess Vought corporate sponsorship celebrity thing. My story is complicated, but I've done a lot of good and Susan listened to everything, and he assumed the talk was as much about sussing him out as it was about her learning everything she could about him and deciding whether she could trust him. The question now is whether you and Grace will assist me, because I could really use it. Susan gave Naruto a glance before taking a big breath and handing him a telephone. Keep this close to you, it's encrypted and only connected to one number. Use it to contact me, she said. We'll keep compiling everything you gave Mallory and building the case against Vought. Grace said you were going to take a wait-and-see approach, so see what you can sniff out and call me if anything comes up. When he inquired about something, Naruto replied, understood. Do you think Mallory's group, the boys, could assist? Susan paused for a moment before returning her gaze to him. No, I don't believe so. She left, and the rest of her people followed suit. Naruto lingered on the bench a little longer. He had a precarious alliance with the deputy director of the CIA as well as the former deputy director of the CIA, both of whom presumably didn't totally trust him or believe his tale, but it was a situational alliance. He believed he may be valuable to them, and they were ready to point him at Vought like a loaded pistol. Was Naruto okay with this arrangement? Sure, he'd prefer a more trustworthy connection, but you're stuck on another planet with insane soups. It was the best he could do. The Vought Tower. Stan Edgar, the CEO of Vought International, lived on the 82nd story of Vought Tower. On the outside, he appeared to be a stoic and passive man, but on the inside, he was a serious and imposing man, and not because of his size or appearance. He lacked powers or skills, simply a serious and commanding mentality capable of handling a firm that employs superheroes and has a net worth in the billions. One thing everyone understood about Stan Edgar was that he cared deeply about Vought and would go to any length to secure its success. He was at his computer, doing papers and checking emails, when the doorbell rang and Madeline Stillwell entered. "Madeline, what brings you to the 82nd floor?" Stan inquired. "Sorry to bother you, but my team has brought something to my attention that I believe you should be aware of," Madeline said as she approached him and handed him a tablet with a paused video from a convenience store security camera on it. He hit play and watched as two criminals entered, held the owner and shoppers at gunpoint, and grabbed the money before being knocked out by a speeding blur and tied up. Impressive, right? There's more. Stan Edgar swiped on the iPad and aired the next security tape, which was of a drug bust in which all of the cartel members were bound and carried out in the blink of an eye by the same fast-moving blur. Then there was the carjacker who was apprehended, the mugger who was tied up, the armored car heist that ended when the blur actually removed the wheels of the vehicles and forced it to stop before taking out the robbers, and the people who were rescued from an exploding gasoline truck on a highway collision. Impressive speed. This new superhero is very skilled in doing an excellent job, Stan said. It appears that your A-train has more competition than Shockwave. Except it's not one of ours, Edgar, Madeline explained, drawing a surprised look from the man. I've checked with everyone, and there is no record of a soup moving this fast, not even a train. The footage of him taking down the cartel while they're firing at him, he's outrunning bullets that travel more than 2,000 feet per second and is still a blur on camera. And the armored car heist, jewelry store robber, mugger, and carjacker all occurred within minutes of each other in different boroughs in New York. Our crime analysts and scientists estimate he's moving at least 4 times faster than a train, and possibly faster than Homelander. Who is this? Edgar inquired, handing her the tablet. We don't know. All the images and security footage we get of him are blurry and not good enough for facial recognition, and he doesn't even stop to talk to the people or press, she responded. I've gone through the files 3 times and we don't have any kind of hero with his abilities or speed. He's a mystery. The news stations are already picking up on these stories and no one knows who he is or has stepped forward. What do you want to do? Edgar deliberated for a while before devising a strategy. No comment until we know more. Have our scientists, crime analysts, and everyone work on determining who this mysterious soup is. We need to know if this person got their hands on Compound V or is a bastard offshoot of one of our soups. Edgar suspected that this new soup was the child of an old one who manifested powers naturally. There had been no known incidents of super offspring gaining powers, but it wasn't out of the question. Should I get the 7 on this? Madeline wondered. Not yet, until we learn more, Edgar said, and she agreed. Any word on Translucent? I still have my people looking for him, and if he's on a bender and hasn't been checking in, you can rest assured that his time with the 7 is over, Madeline promised. Find him. We can't have the 7 missing for much longer, and Madeline, keep this quiet, Edgar advised. Of course, she said as she walked away to get to work. In terms of the 7, 2 members, Queen Maeve and Homelander, were responding to an active shooter who was shooting at people and police officers. Queen Maeve was on her way because it was her caller, but Homelander came along for company and to chat to her about Translucent. Look, Translucent's probably just hanging out at a gynecologist's office or something, Maeve said. For 2 days. Come on. I don't get it. Why is no one concerned about this? Homelander pondered. Because if one of the 7 goes missing, people panic, Maeve reminded him as they passed some police cars that had been shot at. Besides, you can't fucking stand Translucent. Of course, Homelander said, but if something happened to him, that's a direct attack on the 7, which is a direct attack on me. You've managed to turn this into about you in less than 20 seconds, Maeve said. Hey, I'm not the one who's down 1.5 points, so I think what you mean is, gee, thanks Homelander for showing up out of nowhere and bringing the extra press to my collar, he said. Homelander, Maeve, said the SWAT captain, happy to see them. Homelander patted him on the shoulder. "Captain, you and your crew are true heroes. We're just glad we can assist, right?" Maeve said. "That's right." Homelander inquired, "Where's your shooter?" "Shooter's on number 31. Homelander soared off into the air and went through one of the windows, saying, "All right, sit tight." Maeve simply blew her hair out of her face before turning to face the captain. Elevators. Another gust of wind rushed by her, and she and the captain noticed the gunman standing next to them, his wrists tied and his weapon on the ground. "Never mind." "Wow, Homelander works fast," the captain exclaimed as he motioned for his soldiers to approach the shooter. "Yeah, he does," Maeve grumbled before turning to face the structure. "Homelander, please come out here." Homelander flew out of the building and landed next to her a few seconds later. "What's taking you so long?" he wondered as he watched cops arresting the shooter. "Who's that guy?" "That's the shooter who is supposed to be my caller." "Thank you very much," Maeve said as she walked away, leaving Homelander perplexed. He approached the police as they were loading the gunman into a squad car, and when they spotted him, they immediately brightened up. One of the cops commented, "Nice job, Homelander." "Thank you, buddy. Do you mind if I speak to him alone for a second?" Homelander grinned, and the officers nodded as they took a step back. The leader of the Seven approached the gunman, who was beginning to sweat. "Who brought you all the way down here?" "I honestly don't know." Homelander simply grabbed the man's shoulder and began to squeeze. "Lying isn't going to help you right now. Who brought you down? Was it a train?" "I don't know." The man whimpered in anguish as he felt enormous pressure on his shoulder, which felt like it was about to snap. "I'm not sure. I didn't see anyone. All I remember is hearing a whoosh of air and a flicker of light before being dragged and taken outside. I swear I didn't see a face or anyone." Homelander simply glanced at the shooter, uninterested in him personally, but intrigued by the mysterious soup who appeared. "Whatever." Homelander stepped away from the car before flying away, unknowing that the mystery soup was there. Naruto had gotten the shooter and raced him past Maeve and Homelander, so that was at the very least a valid observation. Perhaps watching the Seven in action will provide him with more personal information than Gideon's hacking of the VOT networks. He smiled as he looked across at a flyer for a train's race versus Shockwave. The race could be an excellent opportunity to gather critical information and experiment with a train. It's time to show him who the quickest guy alive is. The following day, New York's Hartsdale Stadium. Naruto merged into the mass of onlookers, reporters, and guests that had gathered to see the race between a train and Shockwave. They dubbed it the race of the century in order to ascertain which runner was the fastest. Naruto didn't think that was a foolish idea because he and Barry weren't above a race or a little competition now and then, but this was a little overdone. Especially for a race that was only going to last 1 second. However, the stadium was jam-packed with media cameras, and the experience was more akin to a professional athletic event, which also meant that all concessions were pricey. A lemonade for $13 and a hot dog for $10? That is robbery on the highway. As he observed the pomp and circumstance, Naruto munched on one of his high-calorie speedy bars. He simply did not comprehend it, but Naruto was not a sports fan. He liked watching the Super Bowl, the Olympics, and baseball, but he wasn't a big sports lover, so this wasn't him. He came here because most of the Seven were scheduled to appear, and seeing how they acted in front of all their supporters would provide him with some helpful information. He was also going to show a train and Shockwave who was the quickest guy alive. Naruto was walking through the stadium when he noticed 2 members of the Seven arriving in the stadium and greet the fans on one of the TVs broadcasting the race's events. Annie is Starlight, who was wearing a different uniform than the one before, and Black Noir, who appeared to be a more ninja version of Batman lacking the bat element. It was more of a one-piece swimsuit with long gloves and boots than a uniform. She put up a happy face for the audience, but Naruto could tell she was nervous. Homelander showed up for the race, but Naruto ignored him and went to the VOT fan zone to see if he could speak with Annie and see how she was doing. She and Black Noir were signing autographs for t-shirts and posters. "I appreciate your presence. It was a pleasure to meet you." Annie was delivering a signed poster to a fan when a small girl approached her, dressed in a homemade version of her old costume. "Aren't you cute? Is it okay if I get a selfie?" the girl inquired. "Of course, honey," I say. "Take it." Annie then stepped around the table, handing her the poster. "Look at you. You certainly look the part." "It's your old uniform, but I'm saving up for the new one." Annie smiled conflicted as she bent down for the selfie but covered her cleavage. "Hello, Starlight. Display your tits." A man in the crowd shouted, and his pervy pal next to him motioned for her to do the same. The rest of the males in the crowd joined in, which was terrifying for Starlight and the small girl. "Shut the hell up, you perverts." Everyone was silenced when a loud voice yelled. Naruto walked through the crowd, disgustedly staring at the males. "She's not the stripper or hooker you pay for 3 minutes because you can't keep it up, and she's accompanied by a young girl. Why don't you idiots show some respect and go be perverts at home because you're all scary? No women like you, and now everyone here knows you're freaks and nasty dirt. Furthermore, everyone on the internet and you cretins are trending." Naruto was filming them with his phone and uploading the video to the internet so that everyone could see what nasty perverts they were. "Also, dude." Naruto gestures to the bald, elderly male standing next to the person who yelled at Starlight. "You're catcalling 2 women old enough to be your daughters, which makes you an even older, disgusting creeper than you already are. Oh, and based on the venomous comments on the video, it appears that your wife is not pleased to have you here. Someone appears to be in peril." The old man frightened and fled while the rest of the hecklers and perverts walked away to everyone's acclaim. Naruto stepped over to Starlight and the girl, putting his phone away. "Are you two okay?" "Everything is fine. Thank you very much," Annie addressed him. "Oh, it was my pleasure. It's always entertaining to mock perverts." Naruto grinned before turning to face the young fan. "I also believe you should stick with the traditional uniform. There's a reason they're considered classics." "He's exactly right," Annie told her. "You should save your money. That one appeals to me much more." As she and Annie took the selfie, the girl smiled. After that, the girl hugged Annie before walking away, which is when Annie observed Naruto leave. "I need a minute," Annie murmured to Ashley and followed him. "Starlight, please wait." As Starlight went away, Ashley's plea fell on deaf ears. She was walking into the fan zone when she noticed Naruto walking down the hall. "Hey." Naruto turned around to look at Annie. "Hey." Naruto grinned as she approached. "Thank you for doing that back there again. It was a lot of sweat," Annie informed him. "Oh, it was my pleasure. Guys like that are just perverts who don't have girlfriends or wives to make them happy, so they spook out other people to feel better. Being in a loving relationship makes me joyful." Naruto brought this up, and what they were doing wasn't right. "I simply called them out before someone else." "Well, no one else was willing to do it except you. Thank you once again." "Don't mention it, Annie." Annie chuckled when Naruto responded. "I don't really forget a face, and the only real difference is what you're wearing in your hair, so you might want to work on a secret identity." "Yeah, so I've been told, but I don't think that'll be a thing anymore because I went viral and people already know who I am." Annie mentioned it. "Oh, I noticed that. The world remembers you as a badass hero who thrashed several would-be rapists. I think that's a pretty good cover name." Naruto made a joke, and she grinned. "Don't you have to get back to the signing?" I actually kind of need a break from all of that." Annie agreed. "It's good to see you again. I didn't expect to run into you." "Neither do I, so, since you're free, how about a walk and another chance to chat about what's going on?" Naruto was perplexed, and she nodded. "I'd like to have that." As the two went away, Annie grinned. "I guarantee this isn't an attempt to flirt with you. I have a wonderful partner, and I would never presume." Naruto made a pledge. "It's fine, but thank you for being so forthright." As the two continued strolling through the stadium, she retorted. "Should I bow or take a few steps behind you? I've never walked alongside a superstar before." Naruto addressed her. "You're all right. A simple talk would suffice." Annie stated this. "I guarantee it." Naruto cursed. "So, the other day at the park bench, when you were complaining about how much you despised your work, did you mean this particular job?" "Yeah. It's just. Not at all like I expected." "What exactly do you mean?" "I think they only want you to look like a superhero and not be one." Annie informed him. "It's almost as if you expect us to be out there saving people, but it's more about VOT catching us doing good than us doing it." First impressions? And, please forgive me if this isn't the case, but I'm betting VOT is behind your new outfit, which is why you look so uncomfortable in it?" Naruto inquired, and she nodded. "They said it'd be good for my profile," she responded. "I apologize for dumping all of this on you. You've helped me yet again, and all I'm doing is complaining about my difficulties." "There's no problem. It's my job to help others, so I suppose this is just me doing what I do best." Naruto brought this up. "And, I don't know, can't you fight VOT on things like this? Aren't you a fighter?" "Honestly, the longer I'm with VOT, the less I feel like a fighter," Annie agreed. Then leave. VOD isn't required to be a hero. You were doing it before them, so why not simply keep doing it? Take a step back. You have nothing to show them. And it would be karma if you performed better without them than with them. Naruto brought this up. A hero isn't someone who puts on a suit. A hero is defined by acts and decisions, not by stocks and media attention. Annie commented, very wise quote. I just made it up. Naruto responded as they approached the red carpet section near the lockers, where some VOT security guarded the perimeter while photographers snapped photos. I believe Mr. Blacksuit indicates that I should not follow you. And I'm guessing you have a hectic schedule. It was good to see you again, Annie. You, too, Annie was at a loss for words when it came to his name. This is Naruto. I realize it's a difficult name to remember. Annie, take care. Hopefully we'll cross paths again. Naruto said as the guard let her through. She turned around to ask for his phone number, but he had already left. She strolled through the area to the dressing room, where she saw Huey, who had come to the event for another reason. Naruto reluctantly paid $13 for a lemonade and joined the spectators who couldn't locate seats in the stadium and were standing in open areas or on balconies to get a good view of the race. A train took the stage with his normal music theme, and everyone in the stadium loved it. Similar to a fighter's entrance in the UFC, Shockwave did the same. Naruto kept an eye on everything and noted a train was nervous but managed to hide it well enough to fool everyone else. That's when he took off very fast and then returned in the blink of an eye, acting nervous as if he was high on something. What the heck? Naruto was perplexed by what he had just witnessed. No one else in the area noticed it since the A train was traveling so fast, but Naruto did. He went somewhere and it appeared that he snorted cocaine or took a hit of something to get pumped up. A drugged-up racer. The irony of that will eventually hit Naruto. Ladies and gentlemen, please turn your attention to the racetrack. Everyone applauded when the announcer's voice came over the PA system. Runners, take your marks. A train and Shockwave took their places on the track, but their feet were pushed up against cement barriers rather than usual running marks. Naruto took a sip of his lemonade before setting it down and cracking his neck. As the crowd fell silent, A train and Shockwave found their groove. Could you please clear the track? Set, gunshot? A train and Shockwave took off at full speed the moment the starting gun was fired. Their acceleration was so strong that it cracked the cement barriers and caused them to blur around the track, sending up wind and dust. The race took exactly 1 second, as Naruto said, and no one saw anything except A train and Shockwave. The two runners ran as fast as they could and pushed their bodies around the track, but A train was faster and ahead by a few feet. He knew he'd win the race, but as he sprinted, he and Shockwave both felt a whoosh of wind pass by them from behind, indicating that it wasn't the draft they produced as they ran. There was also a flash of electricity passing by. The results were shown on the Jumbotron, and it showed A train rushing through the finish line, but a blur of electricity was much ahead of him and zipped through first. Everyone was perplexed as to what had occurred, and race authorities and scientists immediately verified everything before increasing the speed of A train and Shockwave. A train breached the sound barrier at 371 meters per second, whereas Shockwave reached 342 meters per second. I apologize for the technical difficulties, but the results are in, and he's done it again. A train is victorious. A train has set a new world record. They say that lightning never strikes twice, yet it did. A train owns the world. Everyone went crazy when the announcer said it. Some, notably A train and Shockwave, were still perplexed as they and their squads raced over to the authorities to find out what had transpired. What the hell is that blur doing up on the screen? A train's brother inquired. We're looking into it. The high-speed camera caught A train, so there wasn't a technical glitch, but something was there, according to the official. Bullshit. There was no one there. Nobody beats me in speed. As one of the officials checked the speedometers on the track to triple-check the speeds they recorded, A train stated. That was their first indication that something had occurred. What the hell is going on? Take a look at this. One of the officials brought over an engineer to double-check the speeds. They received A trains and Shockwaves, but both speedometers detected something before recording both runners, with a speed of 650 meters per second or 1,454 miles per hour. Easily twice as fast as A train's current speed record. Check it again. The chief official informed him. I just checked it 10 times, and the speedometer detected something moving at that speed before detecting A train and Shockwave. Something else was there. As A train knocked several of their belongings to the ground, the officer stated. Bullshit. Nothing can move that quickly. When his brother discovered a piece of paper on his suit, a train yelled, "Hey!" His brother showed him the paper, which had a message written on it. "Thank you for the race. You're quick, but not fast enough. Dude, stay in the slow lane." There was also a smiling face drawn there. A train was furious, believing that Shockwave was responsible, but he noticed that he had a note tied to him as well. The question was who did it, and the answer was in the stadium. Naruto was back where he had been, sipping his lemonade, with no one the wiser or noticing his absence. They were all too engrossed by the race, and they weren't sure what was going on because a train or Homelander didn't hurry around looking for him. Good. Let's wait and watch what Vought does next.
That's it for this podcast and for listening to this video. I hope you did enjoy this particular story, and if you did, like, share, and subscribe for more. And thank you all for having support, and have a great day.